We have just been treated to an absolutely phenomenal weekend of rugby, and we have another one coming up this weekend. Have your teams made it through to the finals, or are you jumping on somebody else's bandwagon? Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup here on June 17th, 2026. It is I, Big Mike, here at Big Mike Rugby, here to talk about all the great things happening in our beautiful game. That's right, team. We have 5 finals coming up this weekend to get very excited for, as well as the return of international rugby as the Springboks put on their jerseys for the first time in 2026. But enough of all that. Let's get to the roundup. And we're going to start with interesting results as our upset of the weekend takes us to English Premiership Women's Rugby. The dominance of Gloucester Hartpury after slipping in the last 2 games of regular season after their break for Six Nations, previously perfect before that, they took on the Trailfinders, first versus fourth in the semi-finals. And you know what happened? Gloucester Hartpury lost. They went down 29-26 to the Trailfinders, who just the weekend before lost 80 points to 14 to Saracens. Absolutely wild result in this one. And the Trailfinders just snuck in to the top 4. They only won 7 games out of the 16 that they played. To the blowout of the week. Now, we could choose either of our Super Rugby semi-finals, but we will go with the one that was already over at half-time. It was the Chiefs hosting the Crusaders in the semi-final, second versus third. As you remember from last week's episode, Crusaders have had the rub of the green in this clash for quite a while in knockout games. But after 25 minutes, the Chiefs were winning 28-0. Crusaders scored a try, but then 2 more converted tries to the Chiefs before halftime made it 42 points to 5. This one finished 49-12 at full time. Chiefs qualifying strongly against the Crusaders. Nobody saw this result coming. A lot of people did pick the Chiefs to win, but not like this. And now our scrap of the weekend and our game of the weekend takes us to the semi-finals. Last weekend in the Premiership, it was the second placed Bath, last year's champions, taking on the Exeter Chiefs, who finished in third. This one was back and forth for the first half of the first half, before it was 26 points to 10 to Bath at half-time. By the 60th minute, this one was back to 26 points to 22. In the 67th minute, Exeter scored an unconverted try. 27-26 they were up, and despite Bath fighting and fighting, they could not score any points in the second half. The Chiefs needed to be perfect in the second half, and they absolutely were. With players like Len Ikitau, Henry Slade, oh boy, no one can stop the Chiefs. Good result here, slight upset, as Bath were looking really good going into the finals and had a bunch of superstars themselves. That means Exeter is through to the final this weekend. So let's take it to all of the rugby action. We'll start with international rugby. There was nothing big last weekend. But this weekend, we see the return of the Springboks, just the one men's game in the international game going on. Springboks are taking on the Barbarians, who are coached by former All Blacks boss Scott Robertson. These two teams met at the same time last year, with the Springboks winning 54 points to 7. Springboks have been named. They've got 18 out of 23 players with caps. 2 debutants are starting this match. Of course, big thing to consider with the Springboks is that the Bulls have their URC final this weekend. So the Springboks are obviously not at full strength. This will be a fun one, but we're not picking it to be very close. Springboks likely winning this one 13+, especially as they have Captain Fantastic, Sia Khaleesi, leading the squad from the front. To club rugby now, and we've got the URC final this weekend. Reminder of our semis a couple of weeks ago. The Bulls came from behind to beat Glasgow 22 points to 21 away from home, and Leinster beat the Stormers 20-11. So it was Leinster who finished second, taking on the Bulls who finished fourth. Bulls have made it to 5 finals now in the last 6 years. They have yet to win one. The last time these two teams met was not in Ireland, but was in South Africa in the second week of the URC, with the Bulls winning that one 39 points to 31. Leinster, of course, also made it to the final of the European Champions Cup. Tough one to pick. Are the Bulls going to be like the Chiefs in Super Rugby and break their hoodoo? Or are Leinster going to look dominant as they have during the second half of the season? My heart was with Glasgow, but now that it's these two, I'm hoping for the Bulls to take this one out. In the English Premiership, we have another final coming up this weekend. As I mentioned earlier, Exeter beat Bath 27 points to 26. The other semi-final went to plan as Northampton, who finished first, comfortably defeated Leicester at half-time. It was still close, 26-19, and eventually Northampton ran away with this one in the second half as the Saints took it home over the Tigers, 45-31. So it is first versus third in the final as Northampton host Exeter. The last time these two teams met was in April, with Northampton leading that game 35-28 victors. In the Premiership Rugby Cup, which of course does not include any of the internationals, Exeter won their final game, or their semi-final game, with Northampton 31 points to 14. And in the second round, the second week of the Premiership, the first week, way back, and the last weekend of September, it was a 33-all draw. So these teams are 1-1 going into the final this weekend. Despite playing their little hearts out last weekend, I am picking Exeter to lose this one to a Northampton squad who have looked very strong all season, being led at number 10 by Finn Smith. Now, what did France and the top 14 give us last weekend? Well, first of all, in the promotion relegation game, it was 13th in the top 14 Perpignan, taking on second in D2 in Provence. And Provence did go down 24 points to 47. In the qualifying finals, as third took on sixth, Stade Francais Paris absolutely destroyed La Rochelle. It was 19-0 at half-time before they eventually won 45 points to 5. The sails of Stade Rochelet La Rochelle could not take them home. But the fifth place squad, Racine 92, did defeat the team that finished fourth, and they defeated them comfortably despite the final score being 33 points to 31. At halftime it was 17 points to 16, and then after 55 minutes, Racing 92 were up 33 points to 17. Two late tries that were both converted got pulled close. They tried to, in the last 5 minutes, take it home, but they couldn't get it done for their home fans. Racing 92 making it through to the semi-finals, where this weekend they take on top of the table Toulouse. These two teams faced off in the final game of regular season as Racing 92 took out a weaker Toulouse squad, 31 points to 20. The other semi-final sees second place Montpellier taking on Stade Francais Paris. These two teams haven't faced off since the first week of February, which Montpellier won 44 points to 7. It is hard to see past Toulouse hosting another final this year, but it'll be interesting to see how Montpellier and a red-hot Stade Francais go this weekend. To our Super Rugby Pacific semi-finals. As I mentioned earlier, the Chiefs beat the Crusaders 49-12, and in the other semi-final, it was a close first half with the Hurricanes going into the half against the Blues, 19 points to 14 up. And then they just kept on scoring. And it was an ugly, ugly second half for those of us that are Blues fans. The Hurricanes finishing this one 57 points to 21. So this weekend, the Hurricanes are hosting the Chiefs in a sold-out Wellington Stadium. The Cake Tin is sold out, but how many of those fans are going to be wearing Chiefs colours? The Chiefs have lost a few finals over the last few years. Their last Super Rugby Championship came in 2013. Meanwhile, the Hurricanes are 10 years past their last Super Rugby Championship. Only one player on either team, which is Brad Shields for the Hurricanes, played in their team's last championship victory. Now, all the way back in April, the Chiefs did defeat the Hurricanes 22 points to 17. Can they repeat that and really break their hoodoo? Oh, who knows? Oh, it's a tough one to pick. Either the Chiefs are going to win a very close game or the Hurricanes are going to win this one 13+. The Hurricanes have been absolutely fire this year, and you would expect there to be more Hurricanes than any other players or any other teams in the upcoming All Black squad, which will be announced next week. Now, our Major League Rugby semi-finals have also happened. The Seattle Seawolves, after beating the California Legion the week before, went down to the California Legion 43 points to 34. And this was due to a 17-point blitz by California between the 59th and the 69th minute. In the other semi-final, the Chicago Hounds won big yet again, defeating Old Glory DC 59 points to 22. Chicago Hounds are undefeated and they will be taking on the California Legion in that final. They won both of the games that they played this year, 48-24 and then 36-26. The Chicago Hounds are going to win this final. I would bet money on it. Super Rugby America's semi-finals also went to plan as the two home teams won. Dogos 35-13 over Tarukas and Pampas 19-11 over Capybaras. So it will be Dogos taking on Pampas in the final this weekend in Cordoba. Two women's club rugby results now. As I mentioned, somehow Gloucester Hartpury lost their semi-final, going down 29 points to 26 to the Trailfinders. The other semi saw Saracens beat the Exeter Chiefs Very close, very high, scoring 40 points to 38. It is Saracens taking on the Trailfinders this weekend, a game which finished 80 points to 14 just 2 weeks ago. Super Rugby Aupiki started last weekend as the two favourites, the Blues and Matatu, won their games comfortably. Blues beating the Hurricanes Poa 42 points to 7. Matatu beating the Chiefs Manawa 52 points to 26. Chiefs Manawa take on the Blues this weekend, and the Poa take on Matatu, which unfortunately will be an upper hut and not a preview game for the Super Pacific final. Round 2 of Super W in Australia. The Drua beat the Western Force 29-17, and the Waratahs stayed unbeaten 29. So this game's 29-17. The Drua beat the Force 29-24. The Waratahs top of the table and have a week off. It's the Drua taking on the Brumbies and the Western Force taking on the Reds this weekend. And Otago beat North Otago in their first round Fairly Shield defence, 46 points to 14. It has been a great weekend of rugby, and it will be another great weekend of rugby. Also, sport around the world is taking off. We've finished our NBA finals. Congratulations to the New York Knickerbockers. We've finished off our NHL as the Carolina Hurricanes won their first Stanley Cup in 20 years, and the FIFA World Cup has begun. And will continue, but isn't enough, because we need to watch some rugby and the big 3 games this weekend. If you've only got time to watch one, follow one, see one, whatever, make sure it's one of these guys. 3 big games for 3 big mics. They are the Premiership Rugby Final, Northampton hosting the Exeter Chiefs. The United Rugby Championship Final, as Leinster host the Bulls, and the Super Rugby Pacific Final, as the Hurricanes take on the Chiefs. Now next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend, New Zealand Māori take on the Japan 15. The Barbarians have their second game against Wales, and the women's Barbarians have a game against Wales as well. And that is us for another week. I'm holding a child that does not want me talking about rugby. He wants dinner. Oh. Well, he's going to have to eat up a lot of sport this weekend, isn't he? Anyway, that's enough for me. It is I, Big Mike, here at Big Mike Sport. No, it's the former name, Big Mike Rugby. Oh boy, have I slept this weekend? No, I was watching rugby. Anyway, have a beautiful week and watch some beautiful rugby.